Thank you for your messages and for the comments. And I'd just like to address something by Drop Dude John. And he says, wish you would tell the truth and say the illegal immigrants who illegally enter our country are falling could of the law as well. If and when braverman does it, then it's a mistake. When the illegals do it, they're doing it with the full knowledge of it's illegal. I think I get the idea of what you're saying, but text correct has got in the way, I think, of the sentence structure there. It does all the time with me. It drives me insane. But yeah, let me make it very clear, to use a Liz Truss expression. And she didn't then go on to a great deal of clarity. I hope I will. I don't think there is such a thing as an illegal migrant who is claiming asylum. By claiming asylum, following the 1951 convention, somebody is not judged on how they get into a country. They are judged on whether their claim for asylum meets the proper criteria. So the fact that there is now a law, the Nationality and Borders Law, which was enacted in November last year, the fact that there is now a law which decrees that anybody who comes over the channel in small boats has come to the UK illegally doesn't automatically make them an illegal immigrant, particularly if they apply for asylum. Under that law, they're not allowed to apply for asylum, but that's the vagaries of that law, or rather under the law that has now been set up, the Illegal Migration Act, they're not allowed to apply for asylum. That is the vagaries of that law. I think that law is wrong because it's in defiance of the 1951 Refugee Convention. It's also in defiance of a number of other international agreements of which we are still signatories. So I disagree with the fundamental premise of the statement about illegal immigrants. I think there's very few cases where an immigrant coming to our country is illegal. But there are certainly illegal routes, and there are certainly irregular forms of entry. Those I concede. However, getting on from that, because this is tied up with the Rwanda threat, I don't think that's going to advance because that is itself tied up in legal red tape. And I don't see it emerging much before the new year. By that point, the government will be thinking about an election, and there is talk that an election will be called in the spring rather than in the autumn to try and avoid creating even more damage by hanging on for another year. So Suella Braverman, when she was asked in a select committee early in November about a hypothetical African male who wanted to join some of his family in the UK and was under threat in the hypothetical African state. This was a question by Tim Lawton, and he was asking Suella Braverman, and she conceded that the only route he could use, because there was no safe and viable route from Africa, would be to find his way to the channel and cross in a small boat and then appeal for asylum in the conventional way. As a former immigration lawyer, Suella Braverman was well aware that this was the only route available, and the legislation she brought in made that theoretically impossible. But it doesn't automatically mean that people under international law are illegal immigrants. There is no such thing. So yeah, I know the comment has been fouled up by text correct, but I think the premise of the comment is based on an over-slavish understanding of Suella Braverman's intentions, and her intentions, I think, will not work. That's point one. Point two is, do I think we should deal with the migration crisis? Yes, I think we should. But I think the only way to do that is to do it globally rather than unilaterally. And by avoiding that, particularly at a time when it's quite clear that other countries around Europe and probably around the world are interested in that initiative, it seems utterly absurd that Britain hasn't tried to call an international convention to deal with this. I think other countries will be very grateful for our leadership on that, and Suella Braverman and Rishi Sunak are missing a trick.